Alright, and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming. And today we're going to be doing a review of a game called The Prince of Persia, Warrior Within. Alright, so what is this game about? Well, it starts out with the prince running through the streets of a town at night, trying to escape a mystical pursuer. And then we hear him speaking with I'm not even going to say that's human, with another being that tells him he can't change his fate, and that mystical being that was chasing him is eventually going to catch up with him and kill him. But he also tells him of an island where the hourglass of time was stolen from, and where the sands of time themselves were created. And the prince decides that if he goes to this island, he might find a way to change his fate. And when he arrives on the island, he decides that maybe he can go back in time far enough to prevent the creation of the sands themselves, thus preventing the magical beast that is pursuing him from continuing its pursuit of him. Now, when he gets there, of course, you gotta fight your way into the castle itself, and then you see a couple of women fighting each other. One of them was the woman on a ship that almost killed you and threw you into the ocean, which led you, in a way, to the island that you're on now. And the other one is a woman that you have no idea who she is, but you decide to help her anyway because you know that the one she's fighting wants you dead. After defeating her, you help the woman in red, and she never gives you her name at this point. And you tell her who you are and that you want to speak with the Empress, and she tells you it's impossible. And then you tell her what you're trying to do, and she again tells you that it's impossible. But she tells you that if you're determined to do this, that these are the things, she gives you a list of things that need to be done in order for you to open a door that will allow you to prevent the sands from being created. Maybe. And you just take her at her word for it. And you travel around the castle, climbing the 2 towers to release the flow of water, which will provide the power necessary to unlock the door. And of course, while you're doing that, you're being chased relentlessly by this magical beast, and you're also being chased by another creature that doesn't talk, as well as all of the sand creatures that also want you dead. So lots of things going on here. But eventually you do activate the two towers, and to do so you have to travel back and forth through time on these portals that take you back and forth through time, so that you can make your way through the castle in both the past and the present to achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. Now eventually you do achieve those goals, and once you've activated both towers and released the locks on the door, you head back to the main chamber where the girl in red is, and she's there waiting for you. And she does finally tell you her name, and then she heads on into the door that you had unlocked, and you follow in behind her. Once you're inside, she pulls a lever and locks the two of you into the room. And then she tells you that there's only one of you that are going to be able to change their fates that day, and she believes it's going to be her. She also tells you that she is the princess, or the empress, sorry. And once you learn this information, then you try to reason with her, obviously, which doesn't work. But you also want to know what drove her to this, and what drove her to it was that she had pre-knowledge of when, where, and how she would die. And this knowledge essentially drove her crazy. But after watching you achieve all of the things that you have under the threat of constant death, she thinks maybe she has a chance of doing the same thing. Regardless of the fact that you've saved her life at this point twice, she really doesn't care. It's all about feelings, not facts. Truly. This particular game, in and of itself, is a rather short game for Prince of Persia. Not that I mind that all that much. I mean, they made several of these games, one right after another, like releasing them yearly, kind of like Call of Duty. And I didn't exactly hate that, but it did lead to some pretty simple storylines. And this game definitely suffers from a very simple storyline. It's fun gameplay. They got some cool mechanics in it. Of course, I love the movement system of Prince of Persia. That's why I play these games. Truly. That's the one part of all of the Prince of Persia games, from the Sands of Time forward, that I liked about these games, and that was the movement system. To me, it was enjoyable. It's fun. I guess you could say that I just like unique movement systems like this. And this same unique movement system actually was found in Darksiders 2 with Death. His movements, as far as the movement system you use with him, is almost a copy-paste of the Prince of Persia movement system. There are some minor differences, but for the most part they're the exact same movement system. And I don't mind that, truly. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Why, although there is, strong independent woman in this gameplay and in this story, It's not shoved down your throat like they do today. Um, it does lead to some very odd encounters, to say the least, which did not help the writing of this story, truly. It wasn't ham-fisted in, but it's also not natural. And when you play the game, you'll see what I mean. It's just not how people would react to the situation around them. Truly. It's... I understand that it's a fantasy game. I understand it's a fantasy story. I understand all of that. And it's not supposed to be real to the world. But regardless, when you break from reality as hard as this game has, and any sense of sensibility or common sense or even, you know, logical deduction, it really breaks your immersion, truly. And I like to get immersed in games. I mean, for me, it's a form of escapism. I like to be the good guy, because in life I am not. I like to do what's right, because in life I make the wrong decisions. I like to try and be something I'm not, but I always strive to be that, even in life. I always try to better myself, even when that's difficult. I like to... I guess you could say that I've always tried to be a decent person by putting on a facade of tolerance and respect toward people that I don't know. But that facade is easily broken when you're not willing to show me that same courtesy. And that's when people realize that I am not what they thought I was. Too many people mistaken my kindness for cowardice. And I don't intend to present myself that way. But I know that that's how it's interpreted because of how many people have misinterpreted my actions, my mannerisms, and the way that I treat them. To me, I'm just trying to treat them nicely because they've given me no reason to treat them otherwise. And then when they piss me off, they find out that I am far from what they thought I was. And in some cases, that causes them to be terrified of me. And not that I complain about that, because I don't. It does cause other problems, because then they feel justified in lying about me, which has also happened a few times in my life. So, I guess you could say that as my life went on, I became more and more jaded toward people in general. And I got to the point that I became rather reserved in my kindness toward them. To where today, I'm cordial, but I'm not kind. I'm... oh, what's the word that I'm looking for? Rigid, without being outright, hateful. I am very reserved and questioning, but I keep those questions professional until you give me reason not to. And that's kind of how I am today. I'm off-putting I will be coarse and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Suspicious of everything you say and do. And I make it very well known to them that I am very suspicious of everything they say and do. And that in and of itself makes people hate me as well. But I would rather them hate me for that than think that I'm just some pushover coward that they can treat however they like. At least with me being that way, they give me some modicum of respect. Even though I know they do not respect me at all. They're not willing to push my buttons or cause friction with me, because they realize that I'm the type who will go off on them for it. And I found that that works better than how I used to be. It's certainly not nicer. It's certainly not a environment that invites friendship in any way, shape, or form, or even tries to create bonds of friendship. But at the very least, I don't have people going out of their way thinking that they can take advantage of me. Because they realize very quickly that they can't. And once they realize that, they want nothing more to do with me. And in truth, that does not bother me. Alright, so you have your final battle with the Empress, and when you kill her, you instantly understand the reality of how the Sands of Times are created, because the Empress becomes the Sands of Time. So you lament your actions and begin to accept your fate. And while you're starting to do so, you end up busting through a wall and ending up in another chamber that has some writings on it that tell you that there is another chance. With the Mask of the Phantom. So you search the castle, and eventually you find the mask and you put it on. And after the mask transforms you into the Wraith, you realize that you yourself were that other creature that was following you and your actions as you made your way through the castle the first time. And then when it comes to the point that the first time the Wraith died to the mystical beast that was chasing you, in this timeline, you let the beast take the prince, your past self. And in doing so, the mask releases you and you're able to take it off. And then you head back toward the main chamber where the Empress is. Excuse me. And you try to convince her again that things don't have to turn out this way. If you try to save the Empress, it seems like things turn out alright until you leave the island and make it back to your destination. And then once you're there, everything essentially turns to hell. So that's a bad end. So then you decide that there has to be another answer. And you travel back into the past and you try it again for a third time. And this time you bring the Empress to the future and you kill her there. And the mystical beast that had been chasing you catches up with you and devours her before she can turn into the actual sands. And after it devours her, it takes your amulet, which also was created as a result of the sands of time, thus removing the sands of time from the timeline completely. But when you return to your homeland, you find that it is still under attack, it is still burned to the ground, and all of your friends and family are dead. So things turned out a little better, but not by much. Little has changed regardless of the sands not existing, and never have existing. And the game basically ends with what is written in the timeline cannot be changed, which is a theme throughout this entire game, that fate cannot be changed. It has the same kind of theme as like Reckoning, Kingdoms of Amalur, where fate is set in stone for those who are bound to it, and your fate cannot be changed. Now, do I believe in fate? Not in the same sense that this game tries to present it, and not in the same sense that Reckoning tries to present it. Do I think that there are people bound by a type of fate? Absolutely. And the reason I say that is because I've seen people who repeat the same life lessons over and over and over again and never learn from them. And as long as they never learn from them, life creates situations for them repeatedly that give them the opportunity to learn this life lesson. And some people never learn it. They just keep repeating the same types of situations over and over and over again for their entire life until they die. Never learning from them, never changing, never altering their fate. And then I've also seen people who do recognize the life lesson that they're supposed to learn from this. And in a sense, they are capable of changing their fate as a result, meaning that they will not relive that same life lesson, and life will throw another lesson in front of them, in the hopes that they learn from that as well. That's the kind of fate that I believe in. The vast majority of people on this planet are essentially bound to a fate that they will never change. There are few who can and choose not to, which is probably the classification that I fall into. I don't relive the same life lessons over and over again, because I do learn from them. But I don't really try to change my life as a result of it. Because for most of my life, I've tried to be as insignificant as possible, as unnoticeable as possible, and to just kind of live my life without creating any waves in the process. When I was younger, I created a lot of waves. Throughout the majority of my life, I didn't create hardly any waves. And now that I'm at the end of my life, I'm creating waves again. And basically that has to do with the fact that I just don't care anymore. I don't care what's going to happen to me as a result. Because the worst thing they can do is kill me. So what? That's just a reality that I've accepted. What I don't accept is the insanity that is ensuing today has taken hold of our politics, our entertainment, businesses, company policies, all of this insanity. And the end result of all of this insanity is going to be a world that is much worse off as a result. And because I reject this wholeheartedly, I feel a need to not only discuss it, but speak out against it. And the end result of that will, probably be my death. Because there are too many people who just simply blindly believe the lies that they've been told, and wholeheartedly hate anyone who tries to alter their perception of the world around them to resemble any kind of truth to the world that we live in. Because these people reject the world that they live in for the lies that they've been given. The convenient lies sound so much better than the inconvenient truth of the reality of the world we live in. And unfortunately, there's about 80% of the population that just does not care about the truth. They want to believe the convenient lies they've been told to the point that they're willing to kill for those lies. So yes, I wholeheartedly reject all of it. And it doesn't matter to me that most of the world is against me in that. When I was younger, most of the world was against me as well. I didn't care then. And in truth, I shouldn't have cared at all throughout my life. I just wanted to live my life in relative peace. But today I can no longer do that. Because I know that by doing so, I am in a sense accepting the insanity that the world is driving itself headlong into. And I do not accept this insanity. I do not accept this warped version of reality based on lies. I can't. I won't. So therefore, I will stand against it with everything I have. Because to me, that's the right thing to do. It's not the easy thing to do. It's not really what I want to do. But I can't accept what's happening. I can't just sit idly by and allow it to continue the way that it has. Because I know that by changing it, and it will take a lot of people to do that, the world will be a better place. The problem is convincing the 80% of this planet that doesn't want to believe that. And that's where the problem lies. It's very hard to change people's beliefs because a belief is not based on fact, or reality, or logic. It's based purely on what you are willing to accept and believe, period. And to those who believe, it doesn't matter if it's a lie. They believe it regardless, and they will defend it with their life if necessary. That's the sick reality of beliefs for most people, which is another lie that I refuse to engage in. I do not believe that there is any belief, whether it be belief in a religion, a God, a way of life, or anything else for that matter, that is worth harming people over in any way, shape, or form. Period. I do not believe that anything that I think is true as a belief is worth harming people over. Because I can't prove my beliefs. And I also am very well aware that my beliefs are lies. They're lies in the sense that they cannot be proven. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It also doesn't mean I'm right. So why would I be willing to harm others because they don't believe as I do? It's that simple for me. But that is not how most people live their lives. Period. And unfortunately, because that's not how most people live their lives, we have a lot of violence in the world today. And most of that violence is based on the lies that people choose to believe, rather than the reality of the world around them. If people were more willing to accept the truth and believe in the reality of the world, rather than the convenient lies they have been sold, this world would be a better place to live in. I wholeheartedly believe that. The hard part, like I said, is getting people to that point where they're willing to accept the world as it is, for what it is, and then change that. Which is why when I point out the problems with this world, I try to give you my opinion on how that can be changed. Doesn't mean it's the only way it can be changed. Neither does it mean that it's the best way moving forward. It just means that it is a way. It is my opinion on how things might be better, on how things could be changed, on how things could move forward in a positive direction, rather than the current way in which things are moving forward, which is our mutually assured destruction.
Oh no! How is this possible? The sands are here in the present, not in the hourglass! Huh? It is the sands that should no longer exist in the timeline. The Dahaka is doing its job. Not only have I saved myself, I have eliminated the sands of time. What? What do you want? The amulet. The last relic of the sands of time. Can it be? I have changed my fate.
And unfortunately, we have too many people who cannot see that. Neither do they even want to. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I hope that you enjoy the rest of yours. If you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow buttons, all that does help. And I will talk to you later.